Happy New Year, RPAG friends. Welcome to this special New Year's edition of the RPAG Scoop. As we stand on the threshold of a brand new year, it is my pleasure to guide you through a unique recap of the past 12 months. And today we have a distinguished gentleman, none other than Luke Vandermillen Jr., who will be our storyteller, providing insights and reflections on RPAG's previous year. He will take us on a journey through the twists and turns of 2023, and he will be offering a retrospective glance on the milestones and triumphs that have defined our year. So without further ado, let's dive into this special scoop with Luke leading the way.
Thanks for the introduction, Ashley, and Happy New Year, everyone. What a great 2023 it's been, and we're already looking forward to 2024 here at RPAG. Today, for my portion of the RPAG Scoop, I wanted to talk about what a great year 2023 has already been, and also what we can look forward to in 2024. During the 2023 year, the RPAG team was hard at work enhancing the RPAG technology for our members to utilize. Our team completed over 600 enhancements to the RPAG Advisor Portal. Some of my favorites include adding the strategy review report, inputting open architecture quoting options into RFP Express, enhancing the WellSense platform to include more reporting options as well as dashboard options, and also rolling out our new partnership with Venrollment. Now, we're not just going to sit around in 2024 and sit on our laurels and pat ourselves on the back for such a great 2023. What I wanted to do over the next couple of minutes is give you a sneak preview on some of the great things that we're working on that'll be rolling out during the year in 2024. So first, I want to start off with the user interface enhancement that we're planning for the RPAG Advisor Portal. Our main goal with the RPAG Advisor Portal is to make it as seamless as possible for both advisors and other folks that utilize the service to navigate the system and run reports in a simple way. During the 2024 year, we'll be rolling out several different enhancements to the RPAG Advisor Portal that'll make the navigation of the portal much easier. This will include things like quicker navigation between clients, less clicks between running reports for clients, as well as more customization options in terms of the Advisor IQ dashboard, as well as some of the widgets that you'll see on that first screen when you log in. Our goal with the enhanced dashboard is to give you the easiest navigation possible to find your client data and act on it. The next exciting enhancement we have coming up is an update to our Target Date Fund Analyzer report. If you're not aware, the Target Date Fund Analyzer allows you to run a fit analysis on a per client basis to find exactly what target date series best fits your client needs. The Target Date Fund Analyzer also helps you compare a custom selection of different target date series and takes a look at different metrics in terms of performance for those target date series. Now, in 2024, we'll be introducing an update to this Target Date Fund Analyzer that's going to include more input fields when you're putting together the report, an enhanced fit analysis to even dig deeper into your client's needs, as well as more filtering options when you're choosing a custom series to select. The report itself will also be updated to give it a new fresh look and give you the best deliverables to show your client. As important as target date and asset allocation series are, we feel that this is paramount to enhancing one of our key client deliverables that a lot of our advisors utilize on a quarterly and annual basis. This next enhancement is one that I've personally been asking for a couple of years now, and we're finally going to see it in 2024. Many advisors utilize the RPAG scorecard methodology to not only analyze their clients' fund lineups, but also to put together reports so that they can communicate the performance of those fund lineups to their clients. One thing that's been missing with these reports is written fund commentary directly from advisors. I've heard over and over again that a lot of advisors would like to add their own couple sentences of commentary on how funds are performing, not just on a fund by fund basis, but on a global level as well. In 2024, we're going to be introducing global fund commentary. What this means is that for each of the funds that are in your client's fund lineups, advisors will now have the option to put together a quick commentary that will be included in reports. This can be included on a per client basis as well as at a global level. This global fund commentary will be fully integrated with batch reporting, automating meeting minutes, as well as the fiduciary investment review. This will allow advisors to put their own personal touch on the RPAG reporting and take things a step further than just taking a look at things like annualized returns and the RPAG score. If you've been a member of RPAG for the last few years, you've known that one of the biggest focuses we've had since the early 2020s is the plan fees fee benchmarking system. Our goal with plan fees is to make the fee benchmarking and RFP process as easy and efficient as possible for advisors and their teams to navigate. We started a few years ago with the Plan Fees Prism report, which benchmarks investment, record keeping, administration, and advisory fees. We then expanded into the Prism 365 report that looks at advisor fees and services. And now, last year, we introduced RFP Express, the most efficient live bid analysis tool in the retirement plan industry. In 2024, we have a lot of exciting enhancements to all of the plan fees reports, as well as RFP Express. These are going to include updates to the reporting output, where you can do things like adding the current record keeper to the Plan Fees Prism report, making formatting changes to make the report cleaner and easier to read for advisors and plan sponsors, as well as adding an Excel upload feature to RFP Express, cutting down on the amount of time that the advisors and other team members have to type in information for both clients and prospects. One of the resources that we receive the most positive feedback on is the educational content within the RPAG Resource Center. The RPAG Resource Center is chock full of participant education presentations, quarterly legislative updates, the fiduciary fitness program, participant memos, plan sponsor facing memos. I could go on and on. Everything within the RPAG Resource Center can be downloaded with just a click of a button and white labeled to match the advisor's branding. In the past, this had to be done through either a PDF editing software or Microsoft Word. However, we've started to introduce some automated branding customization resources within the RPAG Resource Center. This means that with just a couple clicks of a button for premium content marketing members, advisors will be able to download things like the retirement times, the participant memos, and other education content directly from the RPAG Resource Center, just like they always have. But the catch will be is that all of the automatic branding will automatically be in place for the advisor. So the branding for the newsletters will already include the advisor's logo, their disclosures, and even their color schemes in some senses. This will also be fully integrated with the fiduciary briefcase. So advisors with just a click of a button can upload customized document into each of their clients' fiduciary briefcase without having to take the time to email each client individually and blast out these memos. On the reporting side, we have a couple of really exciting investment reports that we're going to be rolling out in 2024. The first is a returns history report. As you might know, we already have a RPAG score history report that shows the fund score over the last 8 quarters through the RPAG scorecard methodology. Through some of the great suggestions that we've received from RPAG members, we'll also be adding a returns history report that functions very similarly. This report will show over the last few years how a fund has performed in terms of quarterly, 1, 3, 5, 10, and since inception returns, allowing advisors to show the classic performance metrics that a lot of plan sponsors are used to seeing. Even though the RPAG scorecard methodology is still the best way to not only illustrate fund performance, but also suitability within a retirement plan, this returns history report will be an extra arrow in an advisor's quiver to include in things like a fiduciary investment review to show the long-term history of a fund in terms of performance. We'll also be introducing a hypothetical performance fund report. This will allow an advisor to put together an illustrative report that shows not only the returns of an entire retirement plans fund lineup, but we'll also take a look at benchmark hypothetical returns, diversified benchmark returns, as well as comparison to a benchmark that a fund is assigned to. This report will be fully integrated within the fiduciary investment review as well as the batch reporting. Again, both this and the returns history report were created based off some of the great feedback that we get from RPAG members on a daily basis. Now, even though we have a lot of exciting enhancements planned, I couldn't fit all of them into just a couple minutes that I had with you all today. And so if you're looking for more suggestions on things that we can do to enhance the RPAG Advisor Portal experience, or you want to know some other things that are coming in terms of enhancements next year, feel free to reach out to our support team at support@rpag.com. We've built our advisor portal almost entirely off the feedback that users and advisors have sent us over the last few years. That has helped us create a very efficient and clean to use advisor portal that advisors can use to satisfy their 401k business. So if you have any suggestions you'd like to send our way, please feel free to send them to support@rpag.com. Thanks again for your time, everyone, and back to Ashley in the studio.
Now, before we jump into the next segment, let's take a moment to acknowledge the commitment of our partners at flexPATH. flexPATH, renowned for its role as a thought leader and invaluable resource for advisors, recognizes the hunger for knowledge within the elite circle of RPAG advisors. True, you guys are awesome. To meet this demand, they've crafted the TDebrieF podcast. It's a monthly podcast / video series that serves both as a entertaining and educational platform. And guess what? We are celebrating a milestone with them on their 12th episode, making it the 1-year anniversary of the TDebrieF series. To make it extra special, Matt Giovinazzo and Kellen Foley both took the discussion to the iconic Ritz-Carlton, which is our venue for our national conference. And in this exclusive episode, Matt and Kellen have a very lively debate about the future of the QDIA. Matt argues passionately about why managed accounts will surpass TDFs as the QDIA of choice, while Kellen, on the other hand, staunchly defends the position of target date funds as the dominant QDIA vehicle.
Hello, everybody. For those of you that have attended the RPAG National Conference, you might recognize this view. We are at the Ritz-Carlton, Laguna Niguel. So I'll argue for target date funds first,
All right,
I guess.
let's hear it.
So I think I have the easier one here just because, again, it's a prevailing trend, right? 99% of plans offer target date funds as the QDIA. It's kind of the default approach, so to speak. I think there's a few reasons. Probably the biggest one is fees, right? I mean, we talked about active versus passive. Obviously, fees is the main reason why passive is won the day there. That continues to be the biggest hurdle, I think, with managed accounts. I think you will continue to see a trend towards managed accounts being offered as an opt-in approach, but we've seen very little adoption. I think industry-wide, it's like 3% adoption to opt-in managed accounts. So unless they're the default, you're not going to see continued assets go there. And I just don't see that happening at current fee levels for managed accounts, right? Target date funds are an effective way to get someone an age-appropriate allocation without having any additional fees associated with that. Kind of along the same lines, I think there is some litigation risk when it comes to managed accounts because of that higher fee approach. So unless there's really solid documentation as to why a managed account is a better fit than a target date fund, and for that particular plan fact set, I think it's going to be a tough story to show the value for the additional cost. That kind of goes in the same vein as the dual QDIA approach, right? I think that will help managed accounts get some more assets. Mm-hmm. But again, automatically moving a participant from a low-cost target date fund to a higher-cost managed account, I think there is some litigation risk there. The other component is the performance benchmarking, right? So because it's a personalized allocation, how do you, as a fiduciary, really appropriately benchmark performance for a managed account? It just makes the ongoing due diligence much, much harder. And we all know there's a heightened standard for the default option anyway. And if there's challenges with performance benchmarking that's another hurdle in my mind to overcome. So I think target date funds are the easy solution. However, I do think you'll continue to see a trend towards personalized target date funds. And obviously, flexPATH with its risk-based approach offers a great alternative. We're seeing vintage blending coming to market offered by a number of different target date fund providers. this is another reason in my mind where target date funds are going to win the day, because if they start now being able to offer a personalized version of a target date fund, in either way that's implemented, for very little additional cost, or in some cases no additional cost, that is a further reason to just use a personalized target date fund over a managed account type approach.
Mm-hmm. Great point. Surprise, surprise, we share a lot of the same thoughts. Who'd have thought? So for managed accounts, as you said, this is kind of, I guess, the uphill battle or reversing of the trend. And I do still feel that. It's like it's trying to get that inertia and the momentum going with managed accounts. And I still do feel like they're being sold, not bought for now. But I think the biggest thing is just the one size fits all paradigm of a target date fund. It's just broken, right? We all know it's just based on age, a target date fund. There's, of course, those other factors. And the way I think about it is, think about LDI, liability driven investing for a pension plan. It would be so absurd to not follow that. Mm-hmm. And the point of managed accounts, I think, something to emphasize the goal isn't to boost performance, right? You do need a valid way of benchmarking it. And so far to date, it seems to be the underlying funds, right? And the kind of proficiency of the manager designing those allocations. You have to kind of A plus B equals C to some extent, put 2 and 2 together. The point isn't necessarily to boost performance. It's to match your assets and your liabilities, right? Your risk with your overall kind of goals and funded status. So if you're underfunded and you need more risk to play catch up, in the end, the managed accounts probably likely to give you more equity, more risk to kind of play catch up and make up for that funding shortfall. But if you're well funded, you have a high savings rate, high account balance, the whole point of managed accounts is to give you that personalized allocation, de-risk you to increase your probability of success. And so your expected return is actually going down, but deliberately. By the same vein, a DB plan that is well funded and you take risk off the table, it's not a bad thing that you're returning less. It's a good thing because you're controlling for risk more. Yeah. And again, homing in on that kind of ideal funded status or replacement ratio. So I think it takes a little bit of a reworking kind of your mindset, but it is just like logically and mathematically, factually better. If someone gets that personalized allocation, they are going to achieve better results. And I don't think there's any arguing with that. And in my mind, it is just a huge deficiency of target date funds. I think, like you said, where managed accounts are today in terms of kind of fees and experience, it could change. Yep. Like right now, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but as far as dual QDIA adoption helps with kind of the high fee hurdle, right? You're only charging those participants that have higher balances or more different, are likely to take advantage, be more engaged. And then also, I just think overall, we're going to see that the fee trend that we've seen with target date funds where managed account fees are going to go down. I also kind of like, can be very polarizing, the role of a kind of quasi-advisor, right? Where some advisors may feel that disintermediates them, that's their role. Some may like that it helps keep money in the plan, that it helps keep participants invested, right? After periods of volatility, it helps increase savings rates. So all of those things kind of go beyond investments and even that personalization factor. So it's someone kind of holding the hand of the participant, which in turn, increases or improves results and experience in a different way beyond just performance.
Yeah, and I think the tech will get better as well, right? Which, as the tech gets better, it'll probably get lower cost, right? So better solution, lower fees, all point in the direction of managed accounts. I think it remains to be seen whether it'll be a specific managed account type solution or the dual QDIA or a personalized target date fund. But I do think the clear trend over time will be towards personalization.
Agreed.
And I think there's going to be a variety of different solutions that can be implemented. And it's just a matter of which one will be the best fit for a particular plan.
And to your point, I think that's an emerging service that an advisor can offer because we all know it's harder and harder to differentiate. Scorecards are pretty similar. A lot of people feel the investment advisor role is kind of commoditized now in investments in general. And this is a super valuable way in the QDA space where most assets are going and should be going to differentiate, add value, talk about different types of personalized options, right? And just go a little bit deeper and kind of shepherd, as we call it, a client to the right type of QDA for them. It's a much better, it's a more fun story and a more productive story than just like, oh, you're in target date funds today, I'm going to give you something that performs well.
Yeah. Right? And something that should probably be started now, right, ahead of the curve, because
Right.
Obviously you want always want to be on the leading edge of things.
I hope you enjoyed this small taste of this special edition of the TDebrieF podcast. If you would like to see the rest of this episode and all of their previous episodes, go to the blog for RPAG Scoop and you can find the link there. Now, if you have any questions or if you want to further debate this topic with Matt and Kellen, feel free to email them. I will leave their emails on the blog page. So now let's transition into another insightful segment featuring key figures from Rowe Price. Joining us today, we have Emma Tukey, the Divisional Sales Manager in the West, and Mike Schamberger, the Head of National Retirement Plan Distribution, and they'll be shedding light on the evolving landscape of the retirement industry, emphasizing the challenges that advisors face with pressure on margins. Emma and Mike will also go into T. Rowe Price's unique model for retirement plan distribution and unravel those secrets, behind all of their success. And in a rapidly changing environment, understanding their perspective on adapting to change becomes very crucial. And moreover, we will be explaining the latest trends from the 2023 Defined Contribution Advisor Consultant Survey and recapping the key tailored deliverables for RPAG specifically. So without further delay, let's hear from Emma and Mike.
Happy New Year to all of you at RPAG. My name is Emma Tukey. I am the Divisional Sales Manager in the West here at T. Rowe Price. And I am joined by Mike Schamberger, who heads up our retirement plan distribution nationally. We're so excited to be here and wanted to have a little casual conversation with each other, talking about the retirement plan business and where we see things kind of as the kickoff for the new year and what we expect to see going forward this year. So with that, Mike, I have a question for you. I would just love to get your perspective on how the retirement industry has changed in the last few years. I know you've been in the business for 30 years. I've been around for about 18, and gosh, there has just been so much change, and especially in the last 5. So would just love to get your perspective on that change and what you think has caused that.
Yeah, boy, there's a lot of ground we could cover there, Emma. Let me try to focus in on one area in particular, which I think is really interesting, because I think everybody's experienced this that's on the call. Is there's been a lot of pressure on margins for record keepers, advisors, all service providers really in the retirement industry have been pressured in that way. And I think what's happening, that's been kind of a longer term trend, but I think what we're seeing now is some of the short term things that we're starting to see have actually been driven by that longer trend. I'll give you a couple examples or a few examples here. One is, we've seen a lot of record keeper consolidation in the marketplace, right? That's certainly been driven by tighter margins, and companies are having to make tough decisions now to decide, I've got to make return. I've got to create return for my shareholders. Where are the places where I can generate the return best? And with those shrinking margins, record keeping gets tougher and tougher to compete with other businesses and other business lines there. I think some of the changes we've seen there is people have to they're going to have to create more revenues, right? So you've seen some firms focus in on the acquiring side, right? They've tried to build big scale. So that's one model that I think can work. But those companies right now, one of the trends we're beginning to see is they've got to figure out how to leverage that scale now. They've got a ton of participants, but how do we further monetize that participant base so that it can supplement that thinner record keeping revenue that they're generating? So I think you'll continue to see that. The other area that I've seen a lot of talk and a lot of action in, honestly, is really changing operating models. If you can't find the revenue stream, then that means that puts a lot of pressure on the expense side of your business, and people are having to try to find more efficient ways to kind of operate in the record keeping space. So I think we'll continue to see that too on the record keeper side. If I think about advisor, though, there's some other trends you're seeing there too. I think we've seen a trend, right, where most of the business, if we went back 6-7 years ago, Emma, most of the business in the retirement space was commission-based, right? Mm-hmm. And if we transfer it to today, it's almost all fee-based, right? And that's continued to pull down some of the payouts on the advisor side too. So advisors got to get smarter as well. And I think what you're seeing them do and what their home offices are really doing is trying to figure out, they've realized at this point that diversified practices are more successful. Diversified revenue streams. So they're trying to say, all right, I've got a strong retirement practice. Is there an opportunity for me to drive wealth revenue and leverage that retirement practice to create some wealth revenue? it's a win-win for everybody, really, because it lets the advisor serve more of the participant needs and more of the plan sponsor needs if they can find additional ways to support them. So I think that's one area. And then you've also seen a lot less specialization kind of going forward, which again trends toward that more diversified, pulling wealth and retirement together. So those are a few quick observations, and I think we'll continue to see that because the revenue is going to continue to get pressured. And I think that will cause different parts of the different service providers to continue to evolve their operating models and work differently.
Yeah, so you just talked about these different operating models, and something unique about T. Rowe to call out is just the exponential growth we have seen as a record keeper in the industry, in no small part due to your efforts. You came in and took over distribution for our core market back in 2016. Can you talk a little bit about how T. Rowe's fits into that, what our model is, and then also just what do you attribute to the success we've had in these last few years?
Yeah. Maybe I'll start with the second part first, but I think there's a lot of things that lead to success. It's certainly not, any one individual that can, that can accomplish some of the things that we've been able to do. So I think I'd be remiss if I didn't first just talk a little bit about the people. I mean, we've been very lucky, and you realize this too, and even you joining the firm, we've attracted really high quality professionals in the industry and in all roles, really, sales, operations, product, marketing, across the board. So that's been a big driver of it. In order to do that, though, it takes a big commitment from the firm as well, right? It costs money to kind of grow and make these investments in these areas. And T. Rowe as a firm, they recognize that over 70% of the total, or almost 70% of the total assets they manage are managed for the purpose of retirement. So retirement is really part of our identity, and it holds true that that's the case. We've got to make the right commitments across the spectrum of retirement to continue to be a player there. So their commitment and their resourcing has allowed us to do what we've done. We also made a commitment at the beginning when we started this journey, and particularly in the smaller end of the market, that we were going to be 100% advisor centric. And we were going to challenge ourselves to think of differentiated ways that we could better align with our advisors. And I think we've done a good job of that as well. And now the advisor community, as they become more and more aware of what we're doing and what we're bringing to the table there, we've seen that help fuel a lot of our growth. Obviously, it goes unsaid, we've got a tremendous brand. The brand is synonymous. T. Rowe Price is synonymous with quality, but it's also synonymous with an incredible commitment to service. And we've continued to take those foundational elements of what T. Rowe Price's brand stands for and make sure we're incorporating that into our retirement business. And then the last thing I think we've been really lucky to be able to leverage is our institutional legacy, right? I mean, we've got a big institutional business. And in my experience, a lot of innovation happens with those big plans over $1 billion. There's a lot of innovation that happens up in that end of the market. Historically, we've seen some of that innovation over time work its way down market and be available to a broad cross-section of the retirement market. But oftentimes it doesn't make it down at all, right? And at T. Rowe, everything, all the innovation, all the things that we do in that upper end of the market, we build them in a way that we can deliver those even down to a startup plan. So in many ways, I could make the argument that a participant in a $1 billion plan and a startup plan could have significantly the same type of experience. And that's pretty rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, when I'm out talking to advisors, oftentimes there's always that big question and concern of how dedicated are you to this business, and are you going to be here in 5 years, which based on the comments you've already made, I think are a testament to the fact we will be. But not to sound too much like I'm interviewing you, but where do you see T. Rowe Price in 5 years in this marketplace?
Well, it's not enough to be here, right? I'm not very satisfied with just being. We're going to do a little bit more than that. But if I had my silver or my glass ball here and was able to predict the future, I think two things I would hope that we would see is, one, I want T. Rowe Price to be considered the leader in the retirement services space, right? Across all market segments, which is, there's not too many other players in the market that can have an opportunity to really play across market segments. I want us to be considered a leader in every segment of the marketplace. So that would be one thing I'd want to see. The other thing is, I talked a little bit about our brand and the alignment with advisor distribution. I would really love for T. Rowe Price to continue to grow and continue to be considered the premier brand to support advisors in the marketplace today. And that applies broadly to, Emma, as you know, that's not just record keeping, but that stretches into our wealth management, into our investment-only asset management support, all the areas that T. Rowe Price brings to our U.S. distribution is all advisor-centric. And I think we can further differentiate ourselves there. That'll be a good place for us to be. The market probably may help us be there, because I also think when I look at broader the record-keeping marketplace, some of the trends that we talked about earlier are going to continue, right? People are going to have to find opportunities to drive revenue to supplement some of that record keeping, which continues to get pressure. In order to do that, it means they're going to have to introduce additional services, additional products into those participant bases. At times, that will be at odds with maybe some of their distribution partners. So I'm really hoping that we can carve a niche out, right, where we're kind of this outlier that's very well aligned with our advisors and helping to drive their strategic values across all their practice, rather than just being considered a record-keeping vendor, if you will. Really want to position us as a partner.
Yeah, and I know that commitment to the advisor-centric model has been a project that is very near and dear to your heart, and that you've stayed close to the defined contribution advisor and consultant survey that we do every year, which we just recently published the 2023 version of that, in no small part to your participation. Can you talk a little bit about the trends that we saw in that survey?
Yeah, I'll try to be real brief too. I know we got some time limits, but 32 different distribution partners responded to the survey. It's very in-depth. So for everybody on the call, I would suggest contact your T. Rowe Price representative, but you should take a look at the survey. You're going to get a lot of insights that not only shape our strategy in terms of record keeper and servicing the advisor community, but I think it'll shape your practice as well as we go. But let me just highlight two of them just to give you an example. And I don't want to just highlight the feedback and what we observed in the data from the survey, but also what we've done to kind of react to that data, right, and piece that together. So one of the focus areas of the survey was around investments and how we're seeing investments evolve. And, obviously we've seen great growth in the target date space, right? and T. Rowe's responded to that, because the other thing we see in the responses there is they also want flexibility in the target date space. So we've been able to introduce a broad suite of target date solutions. In addition to that, we've seen a move towards CITs in that space. We just approached our fund board and said, hey, our advisors and our customers want more access to CIT investments, and they cut the threshold on our target date suite in half, right, so that more clients can qualify to utilize our CIT. So that's one example. The other area I would just highlight is the convergence of wealth and retirement. We're seeing it everywhere we go and everybody we talk to. And some of the things we're doing in response to that is we've introduced new digital integration capabilities where we can feature one of our distribution partners' brand in our digital participant experience. So think about that. Every time a participant logs into the T. Rowe Price website to check their balance, they get a T. Rowe Price impression because our brand is heavily featured. For our distribution partners, they would love for that to be their brand, right? So that over time, those impressions add up. And then when there's a specific need, they're likely to call them to help with that need. We're doing that for them. We're connecting the dots. So we'll help with the branding component. We're doing firm-specific messaging based on the messaging the distributor wants to get in front of them. Things like rollover assistance are things we're looking at now, which is kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to connecting wealth and retirement. But we're making great inroads there. And then ultimately, financial wellness is kind of that corridor that a lot of firms feel like can connect those dots to. And we're integrating with a lot of our partners their financial wellness tools, suppressing ours, really integrating the partners' tools instead, so that when participants utilize them, they're consuming their product rather than a T. Rowe Price offer, right? So that's a couple of examples for you.
Well, just piggyback off of what you just talked about, the popularity of CITs and T. Rowe Price coming down in the minimums. So we launched the Great Gray Retirement Trusts specific to and for RPAG advisors, and that's at 36 basis points. And you can use those target date funds on any plan that's at least $1 million or more in total assets. And just to give you some perspective, while T. Rowe came down in our minimums for assets in CIT trusts, for any other advisor who's not with RPAG, it's got a $10 million minimum just into the fund itself, where you can have access to our CITs on plans that are $1 million or more. So check those out. I know they score really well in the RPAG system as well. Another thing that's newer is we've launched fixed pricing for plans up to 10 million. We historically had that for plans 0 to 5. We've brought that fixed pricing model up to 10, which was based on your feedback that people really liked the transparency and how clear and clean that was. So I'd recommend getting with your local wholesaler to talk through what that looks like. And then also just to highlight a few key components of what Mike was just talking about as far as, what's popular and what advisors are looking for is we have a really robust financial wellness program with tools that live inside the plan for your participants. Specifically, one that I'd mention is called Waysaver. It's an emergency savings tool that costs nothing to T. Rowe Price plan participants, and it helps them save for a rainy day or whatever their savings goal may be, whether that's emergency savings or just saving up for a vacation. We also have integration for HSAs. We've got a student loan repayment center with SoFi, just a really well built out financial wellness resource center for the employees within the 401k plans that we sponsor. So with that, I just am going to share a quick slide. There's going to be some QR codes here that you can view to see that DC consultant survey that Mike was just referencing, and then also to contact your local T. Rowe Price representative out in the field. And we just want to thank you for the time today that you took to hear about what's going on in the industry and also here at T. Rowe Price. And we look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we reflect on the past, embrace the present, and anticipate the future, one thing remains very clear: our commitment to staying at the forefront of industry knowledge and innovation. Whether it's the dynamic themes of the RPAG Scoop, the educational journey with flexPATH, or even the strategic insights from T. Rowe Price, our collective pursuit is to empower you as advisors and enhance the retirement planning experience. We extend our gratitude to all of our guests for sharing their expertise, and to you, our audience, for joining us on this insightful exploration. As we continue to navigate the ever-evolving landscape of retirement planning, let's stay connected, informed, and inspired. Thank you for joining our New Year's edition of the RPAG Scoop. I hope you all have a fantastic 2024 and hope to see you at our summits.